Hey,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you and I have everything. I think everything's dialed in.
Good, 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 good. Zoom gets weird sometimes. How are you doing, sir?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Good.
I'm a, I'm a actor and I got a degree in it actually, but I'm into learning. So I also became a life coach and I utilize everything. So I've been utilizing the pandemic and just making myself stronger.
Good, good. Well, that's, a big theme that obviously I think you relate to that I've been talking about here today is like playing the ball where it lies, like I like to say, right? Like whatever is happening is absolutely workable, you know? And I relate to personally to a lot of what you do. We're in similar positions there. So has this been making sense the way that I've been working with people and what you've been observing here today?
Yeah, yeah. For me, acting kind of got unlocked when I started improving scenes, and all of a sudden things started clicking. I'm still not absolutely sure of what we're doing, but I'm probably going to gain some clarity moving forward. I do have one quick question.
Please.
Should I be looking at you on my screen, or should I be looking at the camera on my computer?
So what we'll do for our purposes here, look at me, okay?
Okay.
Just look at me when we play with this, okay?
Okay.
Great, great. So tell us, I have your scene here, the Robert Maple scene. So what is literally happening in this scene?
I am in my office, and two NCIS people are coming to interrogate me about my our CEO who's disappeared, and they were also here last week. So they're asking me questions.
Great. So two investigators are coming to ask you questions. Robert Maple, Ivy League type questions about, is it your partner that disappeared or who is it that disappeared?
Our CEO.
The CEO.
Yeah.
And you're on a Bluetooth, right?
Yeah, I have a Bluetooth that I'm talking, and so they come in, and I'm kind of having two conversations at once. I'm the CFO, and I'm juggling everything in the company, and it's a lot of freaking pressure.
Right. Great. So for the purposes of it, so great. And this is sort of a complex scene, a fun scene, but a complex scene when you're like, doing one thing to them and doing one thing to this person, perhaps. But for our purposes here, could we start the scene with, okay, just get to the point?
Okay, that actually is great because, when I did a self tape of this, I didn't know whether I should, when I'm talking into the Bluetooth, go for Maple. Do you have any advice on that? I see why you just want to like get rid of it for this exercise because it's so like.
Well, I want to get this was I'm probably going to use this scene. I think I've actually seen this scene before, but use this scene in class because there's a lot of very fun, challenging things about this scene. But I don't want to overload you right now with this exercise. So in answer to your question, yeah, so in this scene, the cops are asking him questions, and he's also got a conference call, right? So what probably, and again, I would have to look at it a little bit, but just surface thought on it is that probably in the beginning there's two separate actions, or it could be one action that you're playing both to the person on the line and to the cops. Do you know what I mean? So the one action that you're playing to everybody, whether you're talking to earpiece or talking to them, could be like getting a knucklehead to do their fucking job, right? That could be what you're playing with, whether you're talking to the cop in the friend in the earpiece, or the cops, getting a fucking knucklehead to, getting a knucklehead to grow up, maybe, right? And then when the cops take the earpiece, I think it becomes something else, right? So I'm throwing a lot of stuff out here quickly, but even if we're talking to multiple people, guys, we can still play the action with one person. And usually with a scene like this, there's going to be a reader, obviously. So I would play to the reader, but just for example, like if I'm getting a knucklehead to grow up and my friend Babson is helping me out with a charity organization and he's a little high, so I'm trying to get this knucklehead to grow up, I can see him in my mind, and I can look at a point here, I can look up here, and it's like I'm talking to two people, but I'm just seeing Babson in my mind, which is, yeah, I don't even know why you're here, because I gave you all my information last week. You're going to do that. You're going to do that. You're going to take care of that business. Like I said, I've answered all your questions, so I think we're done here. Go do it then. You can take that order, right? So the whole time I'm just seeing my friend Babson in my face, trying to get him to grow up. But it looks like I'm talking to a cop over there, and it looks like I'm talking to this guy. And so with the reader, you would probably have a reader, obviously, with this audition. I would be playing the action with them, but even if I'm talking to the person on the Bluetooth, I'm still playing the action to them, okay? I know that's kind of a lot to like, wow, but that's one of the ways that I might work through that. But for our purposes is here, right now, to play with this, let's go to where it's just like, he grabs his earpiece back and he says, okay, just get to the point. So he's actually, you know, he's asking the cops to get to the point. And what do the cops tell him? They say, what are they asking him about? You told NCIS that.
That's
what is he basically?
they're talking about the missing CEO, and his name is Deering.
And you and what are you basically saying to the cops? You're saying to them, you don't know where he is. What are you saying to them?
I'm saying, yeah, I don't know where he is, and I revealed this time that, you know, he was acting a little weird, and he might have gone nuts.
Great. So if we take the scene from this point here on page 2, I think we can say what's literally happening is Robert Maple, you know, an Ivy League, you know, what is he, a lawyer?
A business guy, CFO.
Yeah, CFO. Great. So we can say Robert Maple, an Ivy League CFO, is asking the cops to get to the point and trying, you know, and answering their questions, not wanting to tell them, and eventually telling them his partner was acting erratic and a little crazy. Yeah?
Yes.
Makes sense? Great. So good. So if that's what's literally happening, sorry, one from my admin staff just reading. Yep, great. Okay, so let's find an action for you to play here. Okay, just to give you something to play with. So with that literally going on, what if we tried for an action to get someone to back off?
Okay. Okay.
Can you imagine a situation in your, you know, life that hasn't happened, but you can actually imagine happening, where you would be trying to get someone to back off, and it's someone who like annoys the shit out of you, but you sort of like have to have them in your life, and you have to like treat them better than you often want to, but we want to come up with a situation where you're like, oh, can you just back the fuck off? And I feel like you have somebody in mind. Yeah.
Yes.
Who is it?
Well, it's not anyone specific, but I'm also a magician, and sometimes I'm doing magic tricks for people, just, you know, for entertainment. And you get these guys that just want to, like, they want to figure out how it's done. They want to fight you. It's like, hey, I'm just trying to like be, you know, make the party fun over here. And they just like, they want to attack you for it. It's really quite bizarre.
Good. It makes sense to me. So can you pick, and if you can remember what one of these guys looks like from the past, like
okay.
Pick one of these bozos, like, yep, I remember that guy. Can you imagine a situation that hasn't happened, but we'll amp it up a little bit? Like you're at a bar at the Magic Castle or wherever you are, right? And now this guy's had a few drinks, and there are people watching, so you can't be a total asshole to him, but he's just now a little drunk, and he's like, come on, really, but really, 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 you know what I mean? Like, how did you do the coin trick? And you're just like trying to get him to back off. And let's even imagine that, like, are you married?
No.
Okay. Can you imagine that, like, you were just talking to someone you were attracted to and making a good impression, and now this guy is like been bugging you all night. And so you just like turn to him and you're like really trying to get him to back off. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Great. So let's just roll with this. So close your eyes. And I want you to be there in this specific environment. The Magic Castle, wherever it is. Had a few drinks. You may or may not have had a few drinks, but you're talking to this person you're attracted to. It's been going well. And this drunk guy who's getting more and more drunk has been needling you about the coin trick all night and getting more aggressive. And finally, he tries to like put his hand in your pocket to like find the coin or whatever. And you just turn to him and you want to get him to back off. But keep your eyes closed. But keep your eyes closed right now. I just want you to watch it happen in your mind. Watch yourself try to get this guy to back off. And now that you're doing it, as weird as it may be, he's not saying anything, but he's just looking at you. But how is he looking at you? And what would be the look in his eye that you would get for you to know that he's backing off now? But it's all about what you see in his face. And when I say open your eyes, I want you to look at me and just continue the improv, but doing it to me, not imagining, I'm not doing anything that I'm doing. It's just really what you see in me, but talking to me like I'm that drunk. And at a certain point, I'm just going to jump us into the scene. But I want you to forget about any preconceived idea you have about the scene. And this exercise, you're just trying to make the lines, they're nonsense, they're gibberish. You're just doing the same thing on the improv and the lines, letting the lines mean anything, just trying to get me to back off. Open your eyes.
Are you cool, man? Do you want to just get another drink? That's what we're supposed to do here. Just have a good time. Yeah? What are you drinking?
You told NCIS that since Deering disappeared, you've been running the company by yourself.
All by myself.
And you had no idea where he was. What about this? This is the last email communication between you and Deering a year ago. He mentioned he's enjoying a Mai Tai on the beach. You and he had gone surfing.
Yes, I remember. I had no idea what he was talking about. We never went surfing. I don't surf or go to the beach ever. Look, I'm cooperating.
Improv.
Do you know what it's like to run a company when the CEO just runs away? I'm the CFO. I deal with numbers.
Drunk, I'm the drunk. Talk to me like I'm the drunk.
I deal with numbers, okay? I don't know about these politics, people issues, okay? Numbers don't have issues. They
talk to me like I'm the drunk. Like I'm the drunk.
Numbers have truth. And if you look at the truth and examine the truth, you'll see the fallacies that are present. Whatever's driving you to act this way, it's not me, it's you.
The beach, you and he had gone surfing?
Yes, I remember. I'm sorry, am I doing the improv or the lines?
Lines. The beach you went surfing?
Yeah, I remember. I had no idea what he was talking about. I don't go to the beach. I've never been surfing ever. And look, I'm cooperating with you 100%. Okay, I have family serving on Navy ships right now. This is just a job for you. I've got blood in the game.
You think the reference to surfing could be some kind of code?
Maybe. Maybe not.
Improv.
Whatever he was going through, it was a lot of pressure. Okay, he left his company. He left his people.
So hold on.
Great,
Ken. Great. So what I want to do again is and we're just going to, when we play with it now, we're just going to go from Deering had been saying odd things, right? We're just going to take this last little section. But when I say improv, go back to the drunk. Talk to me like I'm the drunk at the bar.
Okay, do you want me to talk with the lines or do you want me to make my own lines?
So what I want to go back, just like you did at the beginning, which you were doing a great job with, When I say improv, you're talking to me as if I'm that guy in the Magic Castle.
But I'm using the script.
No, when I say improv, just improv Magic Castle, not script. It's like literally like you're doing what you were doing when you first started. Then if I say lines, then we go back to the lines. Okay? And we're just going to do this last page 3. Deering had been saying from there. Really nice. So close your eyes. And again, be there in the castle, talking to the attractive person. This guy reaches in your pocket. Seriously, show me this. And in your mind, like you turn to him and get this asshole to back off. And open your eyes and talk to me like I'm the drunk.
What are you doing? Don't touch me. Okay? We're here having a good time. I don't need any. I don't know what you're doing or what your game is, man. I don't know what
lines.
Your girlfriend.
Lines.
Deering had been acting weird for a number of months. He'd been saying odd things to me, erratic things. I think he was losing it.
You did not tell us that last week.
You got to understand, a lot of people depend on me for their livelihood. If word got out to our investors that our CEO was mentally unbalanced.
Improv.
Are you kidding me? Do you know what would happen to the share price? And as CFO, that's my job. I've got to protect the numbers.
You did not tell
us that.
You have
no idea what it's like to run a company.
You did not tell us that last week.
I'm trying to protect our company here. What do you want me to like put a flag on Wall Street? Hey, let's see the share prices plummet and have my head on the stake.
You did not tell us that last week. Script. Get me to back off. Lines.
You got to understand, a lot of people depend on me for their livelihood. If word got out to our investors that our CEO was mentally unbalanced,
I think that ship has sailed already. Very nice, Ken. Very, very nice. So when you play with this on your own, and I know especially the first time it can be confusing. So when it's improv, it's like using the as if, right? So the improv is not improving the character. What we're doing is forgetting about it.
It's the scenario that we're improving.
We're improving whatever the as if is. Like it's as if I'm in the Magic Castle and this drunk is talking to me. When you go back and forth with lines and improv, the improv is the Magic Castle thing.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because if you could feel it when you were doing it, and it's a really good as if action for this scene, I think. This whole like drunk at the magician and there's an attractive person there and you're getting him to back off. I just think it really brings out qualities in you that are really fun for this scene here. And if you could feel it, it's so interesting. And again, it's like we've seen all night. There was at one point when you were last time when you were doing that improv and then you went into the line, we can literally watch you like, because guys, this is what we're after. If you saw in this one section with Ken there, it was so great because when I said to go back to the line from the improv, you watched him like still keep talking to me, but he's like, fuck, I'm not sure what I'm saying here. These words are just coming out and I'm not sure if I'm getting them right. And then you sort of remembered the line reading and it went back into like the old way, the pattern way you have of saying it. So like another actor said earlier, the struggle is what we're after. Do you know what I mean? When it feels like, fuck, I don't know what I'm doing. What's going on? I'm just doing this thing. We want to stay there, right?
Fighting through it.
Fighting through it and just staying on like, I'm doing something to the reader. But part of us wants the comfort of the line readings. You know what I mean? Part of us wants the solid, like, oh yeah, I have this idea about the line. Now I know where I'm at. Now I know where I'm at. And it's so subtle, but even for those, you know, I think people would agree watching, it's both subtle and profound. And like others here tonight, like your line readings are good line readings. They're like, oh, that's a good actor, like doing this thing that he planned, but it doesn't come close to the spontaneity when it's just coming out in a way that you don't know how it's coming out, right? So with this approach, that's what we're after. And to me, in the moment you were really doing that, I suddenly believe you. I'm like, this is the guy. This is the CFO. This is like, and that's what we're after. And if you keep, you know, playing with this, Because the reason why we want to go back to the as if improv, because if we try to improv as the character, we get self-conscious because we're not the character. We start playing at the character. But if it's just me talking the way I would really talk to the asshole, then it's me. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not there, you know, there's no it's not gilding the lily, right? Most actors aren't realizing, like, when I'm trying to pretend I'm a cop and improv is the cop, I'm putting this extra thing on it because I know I'm not a cop. So I'm trying to, like, believe I'm the cop, which I can't really believe. But if I just if I put this guy I know in his place or get him to back off or whatever, then suddenly I'm not self-conscious because I'm on that action and I'm away from the imaginary circumstances of the scene, if that makes sense.
I see it like a imaginary bubble that you're putting around the scene that it's hard to articulate, but as that drunk guy, that was that space where my imagination could be freer than if I was just the CFO in the scene. So it's like this bubble of where I can express myself, and it's just easier for me to maneuver in that for some reason because of my brain, you know.
Well, I think I love the way Ken said it, guys. Like, that's such a great way to say it. And again, it shows that you just had a visceral experience doing it. It's such a great way to say it. It's like the as if that's based on things we can actually imagine. It's being in this safe bubble where suddenly we're like, I don't have to judge this. I know this. I'm just doing it. It's me. But when we're doing the improv we don't really believe in, we're sort of like, and that's what you were doing. When you were doing the drunk improv and letting the lines mean nothing, it's like, holy shit, it's just happening. But when you were doing I'm improving as the character, it starts to get this little, like, do you buy this? You know what I mean? Like, you're trying to get someone to buy what you don't really buy. So I love the idea, the way you just articulated is the bubble. It's such a great way to, like, describe that experience of doing it. And I love that you're a magician, because like I said earlier, I love giving the example to actors about, like, look, if you're a magician, you don't spend any time believing you have powers. You spend your time, like, working on the trick. Do you know what I mean? And working on the pattern, but it's all like, it's serving the illusion. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
You're not like, okay, I'm really going to believe that I'm a magician tonight. It's like, if you saw a magician doing that, you're like, yeah, I don't think the show is going to go so well, right? So a large part of this is us just discovering what our real job is, and viscerally discovering, like Ken just did, how the imagination wants to work. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, the difference between an improv we can buy and lose ourselves in, so we have that safety bubble like you talked about, or an improv where it's like, shit, I'm out here pretending and I'm just wondering if they're buying it because my imagination doesn't really let me believe I'm a CFO. So fuck it, let's not believe we're a CFO. Let's believe something we can believe, right? Very nice, Ken. Thank you so much for playing. It was so great to work with you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, real quick, yes.
Do you have a trick of when you see a scene of picking that right improv that's going to raise the stakes in a way? Because I think when I was thinking of improvs, I was picking kind of weaker ones, and then you pick this drunk guy with the magic trick, and that was just, it was like head to head, and it gave me something to work with. So do you have a trick to get there?
Well, do it for over 20 years, right? So, like, happens in class each week, people are like, huh, I show up to class and Greg is like, what if it's your cousin who was, got in the accident? So it's practice, right? But the practice with as ifs, guys, it's a great question. You just want to practice. And when you're first doing it, you're like, why can't I? Oh my God. But the more you practice at it, your unconscious starts to give you cool shit. The more we trust it. The ego always wants to take control and go, let me try to figure this out. But it's really, what I encourage actors to do is answer that first question, what's literally happening, and then forget about the scene. As long as you're really clear about what's literally happening. And you're like, great. And I know the genre and I know the show and I know what's literally happening. Now I'm going to forget about it and kind of drift and just pick weird stuff and see what I land on. And there are all sorts of like, there are little tricks that I talk about in class. But a lot of it really is just getting used to picking them. And the great thing about the as ifs is we do this all the time. We're taking advantage of a naturally occurring phenomena, which is why I talk about like using the imagination the way it wants to be used. Because we do as ifs, you know, that experience when you're driving in a car and you've been thinking about having a fight with somebody and suddenly you're like, no, you go fuck yourself. And then we realize, what am I doing? Like I literally said that out loud. And you could be having a fight with like your brother or someone you would never want to fight with. But why was I just spending 5 minutes imagining that like my brother got pissed because I did so? Because I think the mind naturally does it to prepare us for possible future events, right? It's just what the mind wants to do. So if you start working this way, yeah, you'll just start to notice the mind doing it more. But what we're after is, yes, what's going to be a good stakes match and a good tone match, but not a re-articulation of what's happening. Because I don't want to pretend to be a cop. Or even if it's a husband and wife scene, I don't want my as if to be husband and wife, because that'll make me self-conscious because that's not my wife. And it's reminding me that this is a lie. But like you found, like the drunk, the magic castle, the attractive person, that was just all real. That was so real for you and away from the falsity of the scene that you can just let it rip.
Yeah.
And just like we saw actors tonight, like, you know, believably actresses talking to like lovers, but it was their grandfather or it was their friend. But we believe it because they're just doing the thing and they're not consciously trying to show anything. It's just happening, right? Whereas if we have a lover scene and we try to actually use a lover for the as if, on some level, we just start pushing it because we want to show it. And it's reminding us of, oh, I'm an audition and I got to be sexy. And and that's what we want to go away from. And what was happening with you in the drunk is like, you're not thinking about, you know, being aggressive or, you know what I mean? Like threatening. It's just happening. And that's what makes the scene take off. Yeah. So thank you, my friend.